What is going on, everybody? Vlad with the Plotting Success podcast, and this is episode 2. This one is awesome because this guy has been one of my best friends for a really long time. We basically grew up together at a middle school, high school. We were high school teammates, and now he is NFL player, defensive tackle for our hometown Las Vegas Raiders. So that being said, welcome in Jonah Laulu.
Yeah. Hey, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm glad I get to. We've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
You having a podcast, and then I'm for sure gonna come on whenever. I'll be glad to come anytime, again, whenever, bro.
We'll have you on again.
I'm honored to be here.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome because we've both come a long way in the past couple of years for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I thought I was going to the league, but obviously, that didn't work out. I think our lives have kind of worked out pretty cool. You're in the NFL now. We're doing some cool real estate stuff. So, love to have you on. Just give people kind of a background, I guess, on you. Like, what's your background? How'd you grow up? Kind of, do you have a big family? Who is Jonah Laulu? Kind of give a quick synopsis of who you are.
So, born and raised in Las Vegas. I was the youngest of my immediate siblings. I had twin sisters that are older than my older brother. I was raised mainly by my mom and her sister, who are both from New Zealand. They came to America when they were younger. My mom came when she was like 14, 15 in Utah, then came here to Vegas, and then had me and my siblings, then went to Cimarron High School first, and then went to Centennial. That's when we linked up. But we knew of each other before through mutual friends, Blake Thomas.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we've never stopped being friends since then.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I know for Jonah, he went to a different high school, and they were just super underutilizing him and just like absolutely wasting his potential. So at that point, I was a quarterback over at Centennial, and I was like, dude, selfishly, I want you here, but unselfishly, like that's probably going to be the best choice for you. And I think that probably was one of the big turning points of kind of what kind of propelled you, got you on the map with a lot of colleges, just being able to unravel. Because up to that point, you were playing like offensive line, and that just was not the best use of your skill set and your time. You immediately transferred to Centennial, immediately started, playing tight end.
Yeah. Throwing me the ball.
Yep. It was awesome. Did you always think that you were headed to the NFL, or was it one of those things where it was just kind of like, man, it could happen, it would be nice, but I'm not really going to bank on it? I guess what was your mindset, just throughout your playing years? Because for me, I was a realist. Like at one point, I went to college, I was like, I ain't going past it, I'm good. And I ended up, kind of hanging it up. Obviously, you went through it, you're still playing football. Did you ever at any point have that kind of, did you always think that, or was it just, you weren't really sure?
I think when coming out of high school, specifically my junior year of high school, I realized, because, that's when you meet with counselors and they ask you, like, what do you want to do? What are your interests, possibly in the future? And I was really thinking, like, what am I going to do? And how am I going to be able to provide for my family? Because I always wanted to take care of my mom. Growing up, she, raised us with just her and her sister. And, life wasn't hard. Like, life wasn't too crazy, nothing crazy. She took care of us. And but I wanted to take care of her, seeing what she was going through at that time, my junior year. She had ended up working 2 jobs, and just seeing her come home from work after working 8 to 4 or 5, and then going back to work another job at Macy's, it really changed my perspective at a young age, my mindset to where, okay, I want to take care of my mom. And I thought at that moment, I wasn't the smartest. My grades weren't the best because, especially here in Vegas, I wouldn't say I was doing too much outside of school, but school I could care less about. And so I really was like, how am I going to be able to take care of my mom? It's probably not going to be through being a scientist or something like that. And I was thinking, well, if I want to go to college and, get my education and maybe do something through that, because when you're younger, everybody says go to college, blah blah blah, go to college. And so I thought my best bet was through football, and I loved playing football up to that point. And I mean, through high school, before I went to Centennial, I was going through it, and when I went to Centennial, I found my love for football again. Being with you guys and playing what I actually wanted to play, and obviously the coaches. I found my love for football again. Then went to Hawaii. Hawaii was a great experience, but then they changed my position from I wanted to be a tight end. Now I'm playing defensive line. Up to this point, I hadn't really been coached at all on defensive line. I just was out there because I was a big body. So when I was playing in high school, like coaches, like, yeah, Jonah, just go play out there and just go tackle somebody. So
Go figure it out.
yeah, like literally, that's what happened. So in college, I'm getting exposed because I have no coaching up to this point. I'm going against guys that have been playing this position, and at this point, my first year, 2 years of Hawaii, I was really going through it because I was really learning the position, truly the fundamentals and the technique, and I'm learning, trying to get my foundation right. Um, and I think that's when I really started going through it and questioning, like, okay, am I gonna be able to do this? And then things started just clicking for me. We got new coaches, but I still was doing pretty decent. And then, I mean, once I transferred and saw like all the schools pursuing me, I was okay. Maybe I really can do this. And because at Hawaii, it's a smaller school. It's not the best, known for being the best for football, and not too many people coming out of there going to the league. And so, you know, I know my odds. I already know I'm the underdog as far as making it to the league. So, when I transferred, I wanted to go somewhere where I'd be having more competition, more of an opportunity to get those looks from NFL scouts. And so went to Oklahoma. When I was at Oklahoma, going through it again at first because now I'm playing, better offensive linemen. And I think it also exposed me again to, what I need to work on. And then, position changed my last year at Oklahoma to interior from being outside. And then, I mean, I don't think it was ever a time where I was really like, "Oh, I don't think I could do it." Like, obviously, you have those moments where you're down on yourself, but it's like, what am I even here for? I'm here in hopes of, getting to the top. And so I think ever since college, I feel like I was like at the bottom of a staircase, and like I'm always just going towards the top. And there's never a point where I was just like, okay, I made it. Like I just kept it, just like, I don't know. I think it's really my mindset that's really kept me going. Really, it's just never being satisfied. And I think it's weird. I have like this weird thing with me where I don't I don't take compliments well. Like every time somebody compliments me, especially with football, I think they're lying. Like it's weird. They'll say good job, and I'm like, they're lying. Like
Yeah.
I haven't even done nothing yet.
Kind of like imposter syndrome
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
Like you don't even mean that.
But I don't think I ever really was like, I can't do it. I think it's just I've always just been like, I can do this, and really manifested everything.
Yeah, all you need is a chance. I think that's probably was your mindset, up to that point. I know you kind of touched on it, but did you ever have like really low points? I know you had to transfer schools a couple times. I mean, this podcast, for me, it's like plotting success. It's all about intentional, strategic success. I think strategic success is like working through those super low points, and I think we all have them where you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm just getting my teeth kicked in right now. So I guess did you ever have those points anywhere where you were like, this is like a crossroads, either I quit or, I don't know, either I go down this road or I need to keep on pushing. Did you ever kind of have those moments, especially in college?
I definitely had those moments in college. Sure, I still had those last year in the league. In college, I remember vividly during spring of 2019, we're doing like one-on-ones, and like I lost, and I was just taking it hard. And I literally was so mad at myself for losing. And I like went to my coach. And I was like, bro, I suck. And my coach got on me. He was like, don't ever say that. Like, you don't understand. Like, you have so much potential. You just don't see it. And it's because, I'm comparing myself to all these other guys that know what they're doing because they've been playing football or been playing defensive line, and I'm going against guys that have been playing offensive line. Like they're not just some guys you can throw around like in high school. So I was really, I've always been really tough on myself. So that was definitely a low point for me. Uh, but you know, at the end of the day, you can't really compare yourself to other people because everybody's story is different. Like everybody starts somewhere. And I mean, the whole purpose of practice and the off season was to get better. And so it's really just your mindset, like I said earlier, like you gotta be uh like you gotta be coachable. You gotta be able to take criticism and don't think everybody's like against you. But yeah, definitely Hawaii, low point. And then when I first got to Oklahoma, I think I had a low point too, just because I think I just was not used to being in the Midwest. And I wouldn't say culture shock, but I was just trying to learn I was being part of an actual defense, like with structure, with so many assignments, job keys, and all this stuff that I need to know. When I was at Hawaii, I was just out there playing, like,
Yeah.
bro, what? I was out there doing whatever. I seen like I would really see stuff on Instagram of NFL players doing stuff. I was out there just doing it during the game. I wouldn't even do it during practice. I would do it during the game. And so definitely low point when I got to Oklahoma, uh, getting more structure and being more, under control of everything rather just being out there doing whatever.
So
So,
I think you make a pretty good point. I think like any time that you level up, you're always gonna just have that shock because it's like you feel like you don't belong, and then you're like, oh, I'm getting acclimated. I think you've probably had that shock, like Hawaii from from high school to Hawaii, maybe not as much, but then you go from like a school like Hawaii, then you go to OU, which is literally a top 10 perennial powerhouse program, and you're like, wow, well, that's crazy. And I think that's for anybody, like any job, you go in, you're just not used to it, and then you kind of have to just acclimate. So I think you've done a really good job with that for sure. Just staying on top of it. And then you made it to the league. I guess for you, for us, we were always growing up like watching football. That was like, you're watching football. You're like, man, that would be so great to be out there.
mhm.
I guess what's the number one piece of advice you would give as an NFL player to like a kid that's watching and they're like, you made it. How did you do it? What's the number one piece of advice? What do I need to be doing?
So you can never ever grow complacent. You can never ever chill and think that you made it. You can never feel like just because you did one thing, one season or one game that it'll be like you're good, like you did something. No, you've never done anything. You always are constantly having to prove yourself. Every practice, every game, you have to go out there and perform because at the end of the day, if you want to be in the NFL, it's a performance-based league. Like they're not just gonna have you out there because of what you did in college. Like you're gonna be out there because you can play and you did it during practice and you did it during training camp or OTAs or whatever. And so I'd say it's your mindset. It's just never thinking that you made it. Don't ever grow complacent. Like I kind of talked about earlier when I was low-key yapping. Um, uh, my how I think is when I get complimented, I literally don't take it as like a compliment. I just like whatever, like you're lying. Like I still have so much to prove. I feel like that's what's helped me is because I just feel like I have so much to prove.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I think you make a good point of, you take it and then you just put it in the back of your mind, you just forget it. Because if you're taking it in and it kind of like feeds your ego, at that point you just feel like you're like, oh, maybe I am good. Maybe I've made it. Maybe I don't need to keep working on it. And I think I want to bring back that earlier point that you made as well, where you got to run your own race to, a lot of the times. I think a lot of the times, especially me too, like comparison is a thief of joy. So a lot of the times you're comparing your year one or your year two against somebody's year 10. And they've got all those years of experience and it compounds on itself. And then you're like, well, I'm not as good as him. Well, it's like, well, duh, you don't have, as big of a business, or you're not as good in the NFL as that person. They've been working for years now. So I think that's a really good point. Now that you're in an NFL, I guess, like what surprised you the most about the NFL that I guess fans, never get to see? Is there Is there anything that you were like, you had like this preconceived notion of like what it would be like, and then it's really not like that whatsoever?
Bruh. Okay. So I think one thing from college to NFL is the relationships you have with your coaches and like technically your bosses. Like, um, in the off, like in college, you have the utmost respect for your coaches. You're calling, hey, excuse me, coach. Hey, coach. Like, hey, coach. Blah blah blah. Like in the NFL, like it's a first name basis. Like you calling them, yo, what's
What's up,
good?
Mike?
Yeah, like like Pete Carroll. They'll be like, yo, what's good, Pete? Yo, Pete. Like it's so weird and like at first when I got to the NFL, it was so strange to me because I'm like, well, I'm always been taught to just have respect for my coaches, especially. And so I'm calling him coach and whatever. And when I first got to the league, one of my teammates was like, he's like, stop calling him coach. He's like, call him by his name. Like I was like, bro, I'm not about to do that. But that's probably
You thought he was setting you up for
yeah.
failure?
But nah, they be calling him by their first name like when we were with the Colts, people like, hey Charlie, like, but it's that's one thing I think is the fans don't get to see is the relationships. Because like people think or fans think that players are gonna be. I'm not saying we disrespect their coaches, we disrespect our coaches, but like thinking like we are like scared or like, oh yes sir, yes sir. Like it's
Yeah.
like in college when you first get to college, it's like that for sure. You're like yes sir, yes sir. But in the NFL, they're like man,
Everybody's a coworker. It's like a
no,
co-working place. I mean,
yes,
you wouldn't call your boss like, hey, mister. It's like, I was like, hey, yeah, hey, Pete, or whatever the situation is. So yeah, I find that pretty interesting. I think a lot of people, especially fans, you kind of just assume like it's sports. It's like, I don't know. I think a lot of people have a different preconceived, but for you, really, it's just work.
yeah.
Like
You got the time.
you go into work. I mean, yeah, you get to play a sport and you get, it's obviously a blessing, but at the end of the day, it's just work. And it's like, you got to perform. There's probably key performance indicators like that you need to be hitting. Obviously, you guys are always getting weighed and you're making sure that you're hitting certain stats and you're hitting certain metrics. And if not, then, you're gone. So I think that's, I think that's interesting. I think obviously a lot of NFL fans don't really see that.
I
And,
call it Tom Brady, Tom.
really,
Yeah,
you get to see Tom Brady.
I saw him. I was like, it's good, Tom.
Wow.
Bro,
Wow. First name
that
basis
was-
with
that
Tom
was-
Brady is pretty crazy.
That's crazy. And he's
Do you see him often?
he's our owner, so like technically that's my boss,
That's your boss,
boss,
the boss of the boss.
And I was like, what's good, Tom?
That- That's funny. Were you at any point like, I don't want to say starstruck, but we really grow up. We're watching football and stuff like that. Like I don't really get starstruck by people. But for me, I see them like just out and about. You see somebody famous, you're like, oh cool, like that's Mike Tyson or whatever. But for you, it's like you're watching these people on TV and you're like, wow, that's awesome. And the next day, they're your coworker. Like literally, they're your locker room buddy. Was that like? Did you have that moment at any point where you're like, that's crazy?
First one I seen Tom Brady when he first walked in, and I seen him in person. I was like, dang, that's Tom Brady. And then when he was at our practice, and I seen him talking to somebody else. I was like, bro, I'm about to go like say something to Tom Brady. And then immediately when I was like, what's good, Tom? And then just walked away.
You're like, that's it. That's all I can.
Literally, I couldn't even talk to him after that. I was like, I can't even talk to him. I just wanted to say what up. But not another moment I'd say is when I first when I was in college, my favorite player was Max Crosby, and so now that I'm teammate, and now I'm like actually like
Friends.
that's my homie now. Like so that was crazy. Just that dynamic of having literal like screen recordings of that person in your phone from like a rush that they did or like how like a move that they use. And like I screen recorded it and like rewatched it a bunch of times. And I was like, I'm about to use this. I'm about to do this the next game. And then now we're teammates and now we're freaking coming up with dance celebrations we're about to do.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's pretty full. Like it's full circle. Like you go from being just like a fan, and then your life just changed. Boom, and now it's all of a sudden you're doing touchdown celebrations with Max Crosby and Pete Carroll's your coach, and Tom Brady's your team owner, and it's just like that's pretty insane. Do you now that you're in the NFL, do you feel like I guess, do you feel like you get different treatment than when you were in college? I feel like you were at a big school for sure. So out there, I mean, I've been out to Oklahoma. I've watched your games. You know, they really love football. Like Oklahoma, Norman, they love football. So obviously, the football team gets a lot of respect. But I think a lot of the times it's just like general respect. Like, oh, you play for Oklahoma. I don't even know who. Like, whatever. Just Oklahoma. I love the team.
Mhm.
But now that you're in the NFL as a person, do you feel like you kind of get a little bit of different treatment? You got to know where to keep people because it's like you're not really sure if they're like really friendly or if they just know you're, in the NFL.
I'll say one thing that's been different is like people asking for money, like because people just assume that I'm in the league that I just have millions of dollars. Like
I'm on a rookie deal. You got to tell
they
it.
look it up and they can see like, oh, he's making so and so amount of money, but like that's my rookie deal. I don't have that money. Like I don't even have $1 million. Like that I don't. But people assume that because they see it in my contract. And I'm like, bro, you're not even, they don't even know about the taxes we be getting. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the one thing for sure is that people treat me differently is asking me for money and I guess, I don't know.
Or just assuming you could pay for it.
Yeah.
Like in college, I think everybody's just kind of like, we're all broke.
Yeah.
And then it's like kind of even, but now it's like,
Not anymore though. Them the NIL's real.
well, college is different now for
Man,
sure.
they get
So
paid. But now I say definitely like people kind of treat you differently. Like I think people try to put me on like a pedestal or something, act like I'm super cool. But I'm like you've seen how I am when we're out in public. Like if people ask, people assume that I play sports just because of my size in public, and literally every time I say no, like I really lie and be like, nah, I work for Amazon or literally.
yeah, because instantly they're kind of the way they approach it changes. So yeah, I find that pretty funny. I mean, obviously, you're a pretty public figure, but you're still not like on the Max Crosby level. I bet his level is like
Like,
insane. But even for you, you're seeing that difference. Like, oh, you play for the Raiders. Just simply that is enough for them to be like, oh, okay, like, can I get a picture? Or like,
yeah.
whatever the situation. Um, I guess the next question that I have for you is, what would you say has been, your edge when it comes to, going up against, I guess, more talented guys in a way. What do you attribute to, your edge? Because obviously when you were coming out of college, for example, you weren't like, I don't know what position rank you were for a D tackle, but I'm sure that you get more playing time now as a seventh rounder than a lot of those guys and that were in front of you that would arguably be more talented or bigger, faster, in some ways stronger. I guess what has been your edge that you feel like you can kind of attribute to?
I just things like what you play for, or like why are you at the end of the day, why are you playing football? Why are you doing this? And I feel like it has to do with your will as a person. Like me personally, why I play football is because one, I mean, it's a game I loved growing up playing. Like since elementary, always loved playing football. And I think it's I always had like a chip on my shoulder for some reason. I just felt like my whole life I've had something to prove, and obviously before I was like I wanted to take care of my family, obviously, and I still want to be able to take care of my family by going out there doing my doing what I got to do because I represent my family at the same time. Like I got my name on the back of my jersey, all my family is watching me, supporting me, and I wouldn't like obviously I wouldn't let them down, but in my head that's kind of how it is. Like I don't want to let my family down. I want to, go out there and perform and do it for them. And at the end of the day, it's like it's bigger than you. And
So you're thinking most likely, a lot of guys kind of fizzle out because they're just selfish. Like they just kind of want the money. They're not really thinking bigger picture. They're not really seizing the opportunity for what it is, the blessing that it is, and they're just kind of like taking it for granted. Not really,
no, yeah,
not really.
yeah, I see people. You see people take it for granted, and it's just crazy because it's like you know how many people would kill to have your opportunity to be in those seats, like in that building, and it's just crazy to see people really do take it for granted, and they're like, man, whatever. Like they feel like they're owed opportunities. They feel like they're owed, playing time and stuff, and when really they haven't done anything. And so I think I'm lucky to have the mindset that I have to where I still feel like I haven't done anything. I still feel like I have so much to prove, and I feel like I'm only getting started. And another thing I think, which gives me an edge, is like I really want to make a name for myself. Like I didn't get to the NFL thinking like I just wanted to get to the NFL. No, I wanted to get to the NFL and make a name for myself, because I think that's another thing people do is like they make it to the NFL, and then they're like they feel good, like they're like, yeah, I made it. But I want to make a name for myself. Like I want to be somebody, like people. I want to be like a household name. That's really my ultimate goal, and I think that has helped me drive me to where I am now.
For sure, for sure. I mean, as far as we've kind of talked about this, and this is getting a little bit, I guess, vulnerable. But whenever you were going from the Colts, you got traded to the Raiders. I know that was a pretty rough time for you at that point in time. I know when me and you talked, it was just like the problem was you had gone through camp with the Colts. You were a seventh round pick, and then you get cut. So you're like, your emotions are like you're super down. And then the next thing you know, you're coming to the Raiders, which is the hometown team. And then you're coming into the building where you don't know anybody and you haven't practiced with them. And I know that was like a really rough time for you at that time, because you were like, man, like I didn't go through camp. I don't know any of these guys. The season's about like a couple weeks from starting, and I'm a rookie and I don't know anything yet. And I remember I was just like, hey man, trust the process. I guess, how did you get through that time? What kind of helped you, and how fast did it take you to transition? Because I think a lot of people could probably, maybe they haven't been in that role, but maybe they transfer jobs, or they can move to a new department, or they move states, and it's culture shock. You got to kind of have to, acclimate. So I think for you, what helped you get through that particular time? Because I feel like now, obviously, you've acclimated pretty good. And this wasn't on my question cheat sheet. So this is a little bit of, you know,
No,
a little bit out there. You gotta just improvise.
no,
But
that's a good question. No, so I mean, yeah, I think you remember just personally, like when I had got waived, because it's public information. Everybody sees it. You get those messages, people
oh,
saying
sorry that
like keep your
happened.
head up, man. Like that it didn't mean a lot though. Getting those messages from like close friends that I wasn't actively talking to a lot, but like people that like how you have friends that you don't really talk to every day, but they're still like a really good friend. And then like getting those messages, keep your head up, keep going, like don't, you know, they don't know what they're missing out on, blah blah stuff like that. You know, when I had got waived, I was going through it that first day. Like, man, I was in the car. It was a long drive from the facility back to the house, and I was just listening to like I was listening to a bunch of sad songs like in the car. That one song by Kanye, "Violent Crimes." I remember
Ah.
all in dry and sad, and then I get home. You know, I'm like, you know what? I FaceTime one of my friends because he had got waived to like getting put on the practice squad, and we were talking. We was like, bro, it's whatever. It's not about how you start; it's about how you finish. This is just another opportunity. We still got our foot in the door. That's all that matters. Because being cut is different because that means they don't even want you. Being waived means they still possibly want you, and you could still be active. Like you could still get put onto the active roster if someone gets hurt or anything like that, and you're still in the building, still getting that opportunity every day, still being able to put good tape on film. And so it took me a little bit. Felt sorry for myself a little bit, and then picked it back up. Had my chin up, ready to take on this new opportunity. Was driving to the Colts facility the next day to sign on to the practice squad, and then get a text from my agent saying you're coming home to Vegas. The Raiders are claiming you. And then that's when I like pulled over. I was like 5 minutes away from the Colts facility. I pulled over and was just sitting there in the car like
Surreal.
stunned. Like, wait, what? And then he was like, "Yep, I just confirmed it. You're with the Raiders now. Blah blah. Like, you'll be keep your phone by you. You're gonna be reached. They're gonna reach out to you soon. Blah blah blah. So that's when like that's when I texted you guys. I was like, bro, look me up on Twitter, because like Twitter, like the media finds out when you find out. Like you find out as soon as everybody else finds out.
Oh yeah, it was on Twitter within like seconds
Yeah,
as
so
soon as
like
that
I'm like,
happened.
bro, look me up on Twitter. Texted that to y'all. Texted it to my family group chat, and then
I remember that just made my day because
uh,
I was like, this is like I
crazy.
don't, it just doesn't make sense, but it does make sense. Like it just stuff just happens for a reason. So, I'm a firm believer, like if you do stuff the right way and you put yourself in a position to succeed, like the stars just align. You just end up getting lucky. Like people are, oh, well, you're lucky that happened. It's like it just you do something right enough times, you just get lucky a lot more. Like you're just
No facts. If you,
that's what happens.
I think a big thing that helped me too is just the type of person I am. Like you really don't think the little things matter, or that those little relationships with people who don't matter, but they do. Like how you treat people, how you are perceived by others, it does mean a lot. And a good quote that my coach told me back at Oklahoma is like a good name is better than riches and gold, because those how people perceive you is actually really important, because they're gonna if they have you have a negative image, people are not gonna want to deal with you.
Yeah.
And coaches, like the football community is a small community. Everybody knows everybody somehow. Coaches at other places know coaches somewhere else. Like you have no idea, and so like they'll easily be able to ask like, what kind of guy is he or whatever. Like your character really does matter, and so I think
I honestly think it made all the difference for you in your
facts.
case because, you know, for you personally, like just watching you from like outside, I mean, I'm a friend, but I'm an outsider, like just watching in, I think once you start getting past those like couple rounds, like fifth, sixth, seventh round, obviously at Oklahoma, you weren't getting the craziest playtime. You were like in and out, second string, first string, back and forth. They were moving you a bunch of different positions. So really, you never put a lot on tape as far as like a ton of production. So once you start getting to those later rounds, I think your character really probably helped because once they were like, okay, well, he's got a crazy potential and he is just everybody keeps saying he's a good guy. So let's just give it a shot. And I think that, I think you're right. I think it's a lesson for a lot of people. I think I personally am the same way. It's like it could take years to build up your reputation, but one little thing to ruin it. So it's like if you treat every single event, every time you talk to a staff member, a janitor, a coach, a boss, an employee, and you talk to them with respect, I think ends up translating. And then people have good things to say about you, good things come around. So I think you're a pretty good testament of that, pretty good testament of that as well. Um, I guess how do you stay, focused on like the bigger picture? I know we've kind of touched on it. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but how do you stay focused on the bigger picture when things are ugly day to day? Because I know for me, I went to UNLV for a little bit. I was on the football team. That is rough. Like practice is rough. The rough days are rough. When you're hurt, it's really rough. It's a really really grueling sport. So I can't imagine it in the NFL. I can't imagine playing D line. I guess what is there any like sayings you say or anything in particular that you think about when you're like, man, I just got to get through it? Because we all have those days, like bang up your knee, have a crappy practice. You're like, man, this is,
I
got to keep
mean,
going.
it's honestly, you just gotta know at the end of the day, it's a part of the game. Like nobody ever is perfect. And I feel like people are always chasing perfection, which I feel like you should be chasing perfection, but you're never going to be perfect. And you got to understand and have that relationship with your mind to where you're not going to be beating yourself up too bad. Like it's okay to, hold yourself accountable for things that you can control, but you can't always have a great practice. Like you're gonna something's gonna happen. Like you're gonna get got. That's just a
Mm.
part of the game.
Marshawn Lynch, baby.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch, you're gonna get got. And I've just always honestly, I always come back to that. When I have a bad practice or a bad play, I just like like it is what it is. Like, and if you're a real people, like real hoopers know that. And I mean, and you apply that to real life too. Like you're not gonna always have the best days, and it's just about how you look at it. Like you can't just feel sorry for yourself because of some one thing that happened. Yeah, I mean, in the broad image of everything, like looking at everything from a bigger picture. One little thing is not going to determine your success. Like
Absolutely.
if you one bad play, that's not going to determine the rest of your career. You can't let that one thing happen determine the rest of your day.
Yeah.
You just got to keep like, oh, that really sucked, and then
And the thing is, momentum travels too. Like,
yeah,
you like if you ever watch like a basketball game or like a football game, and like the team that's winning, like, and sometimes they just lay it on the other team. They're just absolutely hammering them for a reason, because when things are going well and you're like feeling it, that, you kind of keep on rolling. But the thing is, momentum can also work the other way. It's like if you start beating yourself up, that's what happens to the other team. You're like, oh, we can't do anything right. Now all of a sudden, you're down by 40 points in a basketball game. So I think that's true for life too. And I think it's crazy that it translates to everything. NFL, business, it really doesn't matter. It's like you learn, you keep yourself accountable in that particular moment, but then you just got to realize, if I keep on sulking into the next day, I'm gonna have a shitty day in the next day as well. So, for me, I've got to make sure that, hey, that sucked. Let's move on. Let's move on to kind of the next step.
you could directly apply that to anything, like especially with real estate. You might not make the most profit. You might get got on something like there's mold. Now you got to pay for that in the house, or something's wrong with the water pipes or something like that. Now you got to pay more for that, taken away from your profit.
Yeah,
And it's just like
we get got a lot.
you got crackheads sleeping and breaking into your property.
Yep, yep. We get got quite a bit. We've been getting got a lot this year. But with that being said, I think just translating that, like, hey, it is what it is.
It's part of it. Like you can't do anything about it. You can control what you can control.
Yep.
And you can't control, those exterior factors. You
Yeah.
can control how you respond.
Yep. Exactly.
That's how I think about it. You can control how you respond. You can't control what happened in that moment specifically, but you can control how you react.
Yep. Yep. I think that's absolutely key. It's like you just have to react the right way.
Dang, I have a good quote written down. I can't remember it though. It's like letting your circumstances determine your. Dang it, I can't remember.
Keep that in the back of your mind. If you remember it by the end, then we'll talk about it. We talked about money, how people, they want money, or they think you're just like balling or whatever. Obviously you made it to the NFL. Does kind of the NFL try to guide you in the right direction as far as money goes? I guess, how do they treat it? Because it's pretty interesting, but you go from obviously not making any money to, NFL players are pretty well compensated, regardless of where you're at. Obviously rookies, not as much, but do they try to point you in the right direction, like guide you in different ways? And, do they hook you up with like a money manager? I guess, what are you trying to do to be smart with your money? Because at the end of the day, this is a business intentionality show, I guess. And, how are you being intentional with the way you're kind of spending and doing all that?
So that's another thing I forgot to mention that the NFL has behind the scenes that fans don't get to see, is like the amount of meetings that you get them really your rookie season, the amount of extra meetings that you have, because they're trying to not fast forward you through that onboarding process, but they're trying to guide you, have their hand on your back, push you through it.
Yeah. So they really take it like a proactive approach. They try to make sure that you're not just like, here, go find your way. They're like, no, we're gonna like baby step you through this.
They do. They help you take those baby steps. They hold your hand, because you have all these extra meetings as a rookie, and you're going through these meetings with these financial advisors, or learning financial literacy. I remember literally we play like games with these people that have like presentations. We play a game, team up. You're team A, and then there's team B and team C, and it's like, okay, team A gets this contract, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to buy this house for this much, blah, 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 and then get this car, or you want to lease a car?
Okay, so they're doing like case studies, like trying to really like
real, using real information, like the real contracts that some of the people in the room have, and like how much money you actually have, and then they're showing you, okay, if you get this how much money you're gonna be left with, or if you lease this car, you're gonna pay this monthly, you're gonna be left off with this after those 3-4 years, or if you buy this house, rent this house, blah, blah, blah. They're showing you all these real time models.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's cool, because a lot of the times, you don't really get like a good playbook, I guess, in other,
Give
in
us a
other.
real playbook, real life playbook, and
Yeah.
they walk us through. And they'll be like, okay, how many of you know how much you spent this month so far? Blah blah. Okay, do any of you have a budget? Raise your hand. Like they do, and they're saying like this is how much your budget should be. This is how much you should be spending, and they're saying like you have a financial advisor, blah blah blah, or you have Roth IRAs, or Fidelity,
Yeah.
investment accounts, portfolios. They do all of that, which I think really helps. I mean,
Yeah. They probably got tired of everybody reaching back out like, oh, I blew all my money, it's gone. So they probably were at one point like, hey, we've got to like set some programs up so that they can.
you got people that were literally living in trailer houses through their whole life, get to college, they're living in a little dorm, have no money, so they haven't had money their whole life. And then boom, all of a sudden they're a millionaire. It's
Right.
like they don't even, their parents don't even know what to do with money like that. Like their parents have been living paycheck to paycheck. That's all they know, and it's passed down. Like they've only known how to live stipend to stipend, because in college you get a stipend, and it's like they only know how to live stipend to stipend because your stipend's going to cover your rent, and then you probably have like 300-400 left over for groceries or whatever, and you think you're balling with $400 in your account. Like I remember when I was at Hawaii, bro, I paid the rent off, and I have like a couple hundred in the bank account. I'm like, yeah, we about to go. We about to go to Chili's. Like, bro, I'm thinking I'm balling now, bro. It's just crazy. And another thing that they do is they show us like how there's just, being careful with, being out on the strip, or, drinking,
Yeah.
like drinking and driving. You can't be doing all that stuff. And then women, like how you got to be careful with women, because women literally prey on athletes, and they have like these group chats on these, I can't remember what they're called, but they have like group chats literally where they're showing you how to, like, it's baby mamas that are showing you how much money they're getting every month from their baby daddy that's in the NFL.
Wow, that's
Like
crazy.
there's actual group chats. Like the women, they come to us and they show us, because they infiltrate the groups, and they show like real messages from women, like, boom, I got this much money from my baby daddy from blah blah blah, made this much money throughout the whole year, this is my annual salary, and their annual salary off of getting child support, bro.
Wow.
And they're showing you how, like, it's a real method. Like
That's crazy. That's crazy. There's really people out there that just do stuff like that. That's crazy because
No, that's their whole job.
in the real estate space, there's something called like professional litigators. They're in different spheres. But like for example, there's like TCPA litigators. So if you are ever doing like a cold call, for example, and you call a TCPA litigator, these guys are professional lawsuit makers. They're not attorneys, but they go and file lawsuits to try to get money out of like real estate companies, or like just any type of like roofing companies, and you name it, like they'll go and do that. So it's kind of crazy that is your like people will really do that. That's
No, yeah,
funny.
like people will use fake, or they're like catfish kind of. They'll use all these Instagrams with very provocative pictures of women, and target athletes, follow athletes, blow up their Instagrams. Because I've had this happen to me, but I just ignore it.
Right.
And they'll blow up their Instagram, and get
They
them
try to extort you.
message them, and then they'll be like, hey, and then all of a sudden, like, hey, what you do? They'll talk to these people, kind of build a relationship. Next thing you know, they'll get them to they'll send pictures, nude pictures, and then hopefully or try to get the athlete to send pictures back, or they'll do a FaceTime, because you'll FaceTime somebody and think, okay, well, they're FaceTiming, they're real, and then boom, get them to FaceTime, and sometimes it'll be a real girl. She just won't show her face or something like that, or she'll just show her body, so you think it's really that girl, and then boom,
That is insane.
they'll get them do stuff on FaceTime, screenshot while they're screen recording the whole thing, and then they'll show like how they extort them, and just like we saw real screenshots of, yeah, pay me $1,000. I'm gonna send this to every single one of your followers,
That's
people
funny.
you're following, and then like, and sometimes like they'll do like really malicious things, like they'll Photoshop the picture, like when you FaceTime somebody, it shows your image like in the small box, and then theirs in the big one.
Yeah.
They'll like Photoshop the small one to have like bro, they'll put like a child.
Oh wow.
And make it seem like you're watching that type of stuff.
Yeah, you need to be
And make it be like, oh, he's a predator, blah blah blah. Like then they'll really like, because people will really pay that off.
Yeah.
And it's
You just
just
got to stay out of those kind of situations. I feel like a lot of the times the most important thing is just like not even putting yourself in that situation. It just kind of comes down to, you know, like in anything, like you don't even want to put yourself, if you have so much to lose, you don't even want to be like anywhere close to putting yourself in a situation like that. So, no, 100%. That's pretty crazy.
it's insane.
I didn't know about all that. And then we talked about like, you know, obviously NFL athlete, you know, high status, you know, people are kind of, you know, you've got a following. Have you thought about, you know, expanding on that, if that makes sense? Like, I know a lot of athletes nowadays, they try to go beyond just the field. Like, they go podcast, YouTube, and like, I think all of that stuff is super great, especially if you're still in the league. Have you thought about that? Like, expanding your, I guess, I don't know, um, like your personal brand in a way? Or is that, are you just focused on football right now? Kind of what's your, because I feel like a great idea for you, you know, outside of the game and just thinking long term, it's like using that, you know, image and likeness, and we should talk about it off camera for sure. I think it would be a good idea. I was actually talking to my media guys about it. They were like, "Man, what is he doing for like PR and, you know, media?" I don't know if you thought about it.
I've definitely thought about it because before I was uh before we were in high school, I used to make YouTube videos like
Got to see it.
playing Minecraft. Nah, yeah, I used to make like Minecraft YouTube videos.
Yeah, I think the gaming, like streaming and stuff like that. I think some of the guys get a bad rap. Like I've always seen like Kyler Murray getting trolled because he's like a big Call of Duty like streamer or whatever. But I think there's definitely value in it, in, you know, in some way, shape, or form. I just was wondering if you've, you know, ever thought about kind of going that route.
I've been thinking about it like maybe starting small, maybe make like a couple TikToks, progress into maybe YouTube. Since a kid I always wanted to do YouTube, but I deleted all my stuff because I wanted to go to college and play football, and that's back when like you couldn't make money off of your name, image, or likeness.
Right.
And it's like what happened with the destroying the dude. He went to UCF or you
Yeah, yeah, the kicker.
yeah,
Yep.
and how he couldn't play because of his YouTube. And like I literally deleted all my YouTube videos after that because I at one point I was partnered with these one people. I made like $124, but I was 12, so that's a lot from 12-year-old. And
That is a lot for a 12-year-old.
man, I thought I was balling, but
Yeah,
I
I think it's a good idea for
I
you for
might
sure.
you might see me make some YouTube videos or some TikToks.
Yeah, the thing is, I think personal brand is super important nowadays, because it opens up so many different like avenues for you, if that makes sense. That's why we're trying to, you know, really double down on the personal brand and really show what we do, you know, on the real estate side, because, you know, it opens you up for like, you know, lenders and potential deals and new business opportunities. And I think, you know, personally as a friend, for you, I think it would be a great opportunity to just use the following that you have right now. It doesn't have to take away any focus. You know, you're already not, you know, you're not playing football all day. You're not practicing all day and watching film all day. So, you know, when you got that free time, I think it would be cool to, you know, to expand and do some personal brand stuff. I think people would eat it up. I think people love seeing, you know, the behind the scenes, like the success, you know, maybe seeing like the personal side a little bit. So I think that'd be a cool thing for you to do.
I think the biggest thing with that is just being vulnerable enough to do like, because at first I feel like for me I feel like it'd be cringe, but it really wouldn't be because I mean there's nothing wrong with that. I mean it's just another way of showing everybody who you are and getting you out there more, especially because in football we wear helmets and so like our faces are covered so you can't really see us
Yep.
and you don't really get to hear us either. And
Yep.
so like it gives an opportunity more to just show your personality and like show that you're not just like a football player and you're not just some like
Yeah.
big dumb dude.
Yep. For sure.
No, maybe I will. Maybe I will.
I think it's a great idea, man. I think we should talk about it. I could connect you with a couple guys that I think could help you with like the media and stuff like that. They're pretty cheap. Well, not cheap. They're not cheap, but they are. They can get it done for, you know, like a good price. I think it would be a good opportunity for you, just because, like you said, I used to think the same thing. So I started posting on social media, like stories and stuff back when like 2020, like 2019, 2020, when I started in real estate. And for me, I was always like, I'll just document. And like looking back now, it's so fun to look back at because it's like, That's funny. I can't believe I used to do that, but it's not cringe because the people that the people that think it's cringe, you don't want that audience anyways. Like there's haters. People are gonna find a way to hate no matter what. You can't please everybody. And that's one thing. I just had my buddy Ryan on the podcast last week, and he was like, even if you're the president, half the world hates you. Like literally, half the world literally loves you, and half the world hates you. And that's literally the president of the United States. No matter if you're Democrat, Republican, whatever. So if the president, half the people love him, half the people hate him, who cares? About what you do. Just go ahead, do it, capitalize on it. But I think the key is definitely capitalizing while you're in the league, because if you're out later on, years down the line, oh, I'm retired. It's like it's best to build it, during. Cool, man. And I guess the big thing here is like plotting success. It's like, how are you preparing, strategically, to be successful? I know obviously you're doing the right things on the field. What's your big vision outside the game, like for the future? Have you thought about that? Are you looking at any business ideas or just any big vision? Or for you, it's like, hey, I'm focused on the game. I'm just going to keep on playing, and we'll see where it leads.
Well, yeah, I'm keeping the main thing. I probably won't. I mean, I have ideas for things like it's funny, but I really do want to open up like a cat cafe out here in Vegas. Like
That's awesome.
I don't know, because I have cats, and so
This guy loves his cats. He's got 2 cats, and he doesn't really look like a cat guy, but this guy's a cat guy. So, bro, one time, I kid you not, one time, I go down to Oklahoma. I go to OU to watch the game, and we fly down. This guy comes picks us up at the airport at like 12 in the morning, and I get in the car, and this guy's sitting in the driver's seat, and this cat is literally on his shoulder, like just like an anime character or something. Like, what is going on? This guy loves his cats.
bro, it's just because I wanted a dog, but
I don't want to interrupt you, but see, like people would eat that up. Like if you could be vulnerable, like people, like half the people would think it's weird. Well, not half the people. Some people would think it's weird, but people would love it. Like people would eat that up. Like what NFL players have cats? Anyways, besides the point, go ahead.
yeah, people. It's definitely like a thing where people are like, you got cats, and it's just like, bro, cats are really cool though. I ain't gonna lie, I'd rather fight a cat, or I'd rather fight a dog than a cat, because cat is going. If you try to kick a cat, it'll climb up your leg, like, and their claws are sharp. I know you felt the claws.
I have felt the claws,
and they hurt. And like I feel like, anyways, let's not talk about fighting animals. But nah, I do want to open a cat cafe.
I think that's a passion project.
It'll be later. It'd be later on, but that's one thing I for sure want to do. And then with my kids camp, I want to keep doing that like every.
Oh yes, we didn't even mention that. So give it a shout out. I think because this will be out by then. This is end of the month, right? Like the 27th of June.
Yeah.
Talk about your kind of what got you into that. Did somebody prompt you to do it, or were you like, hey, I need to talk to the right people who can make this happen? Like what made you want to do like a kids camp?
So I mean, growing up, I feel like we didn't really have a lot of people from Vegas that were in the NFL.
Oh.
And so like
I feel like everybody that was in the NFL was like early 2000s, like we like heard about him like barely, or Gorman, like that was the only people, like not our schools.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I want to have my kids camp every year, hopefully, and I'm trying to make it something special, because growing up, I feel like we didn't really have that type of support for football, like where people came back that were in the league doing that type of stuff. And I don't know, I just want to, and it's free. And
when is it? Tell
June
people about it.
27th at Centennial High School. I'm gonna have my kids camp.
What's the ages?
Ages 7 to 13.
Okay.
And so it's just gonna be a skills camp. Come get the kids out. Because I never really saw an NFL player ever, like until maybe like we had one come talk at our middle school, and then
Brandon Marshall is from Cimarron, right?
Yeah, he came and talked to us at Cimarron when I went to Cimarron. But like, I don't really, maybe we missed it, but maybe there's no social media back then, like where they were, marketing that type of stuff. But I mean, I think it's cool as a kid who grew up here, to have somebody from Vegas to come back and have a camp and try to pour into the youth, because that's what I want to do. I just want to pour into the youth and let them know that
it's possible.
It's possible. Like you can make it to the NFL. Like it's obtainable. You can really get there and accomplish your dreams. And if whether it's you want to play football or if you don't want to play football, it's just a great opportunity to get together and go out
For
there and have fun and showcase your skills. And I mean, I'm trying to have like a food truck there. I want to have like an ice cream truck there for after two because it's gonna be like at 5:30 to 7:30, but it'll still be hot.
yeah,
But
it's Vegas, man.
yeah, no,
It's
yeah.
gonna be hot.
But no, yeah, I mean, I think that's really important. The next generation's the most important generation because they're the ones that are me leading in the future. And so, um,
Yeah, and I think for us, like you said, we grew up. It's like if I think it makes all the difference when somebody pours into you,
yeah,
because they like just shows you like, hey, what's possible. I know, for us, it was later on, probably. Yeah, I'm sure you had somebody pour into you when you were in like college and stuff like that. For me, real estate wise, that was the same thing. Like I didn't really grow up around anybody that was like running a business or anything
right.
like that. So I had to put myself around those people. When you do, you're like, holy cow, this is possible. So same thing with, might change a kid's life. So yeah, make sure you guys go check out Jonas camp. He's having a kids camp on the 27th of June. If you guys reach out, I'll point you in the right direction. But cool, man. I really appreciate you, coming on. I think we're right around like 40 something minutes in. But it's been awesome, man. Just like I said, we've been friends for a long time, and just watching you progress. I remember the moment, like there's a couple of really distinct moments for me as a friend where I was like, man, like this is crazy, like this is insane. I think first of all, like when you went to college, I think that was cool, but it's whenever you were transferring to Oklahoma, whenever you were transferring out of Hawaii, I remember you were like, man, I'm gonna hit the transfer portal. And I think it wasn't that popular back then. Like it just started getting
Yeah,
popular the first couple of years. And you were like, man, I'm transferring out of Hawaii. And I was thinking like, man, it'd be cool like if he came to like UNLV or like Fresno State, like a hometown school. Like not a hometown school, but I was just thinking so small in my head.
yeah, somewhere close.
So then boom, like you're like, hey man, Miami just called. And I'm like, Miami, like Miami, Ohio, or like no, Miami, Florida. And I was like,
Yeah,
wow, that's crazy. Miami, Oklahoma, LSU, and you start getting all these calls. I was like, that's pretty insane. And I think the second moment was like the NFL, well, not the combine, but your pro day. Whenever we were all just like super waiting for you to just go, because we were like, this guy is like people don't realize how athletic you are, but this guy can dunk a basketball. He's like 300 pounds, and he dunks. So I was like, man, he's really gonna go crazy. And he ended up going to his pro day. I think those were kind of the two big swings in your life that's gotten to you where you are. And just want to say super super proud of you, man. I think you're gonna keep on killing it. Want to see you get, you know, deep into your NFL career. And, I think, like I said, you've come a long way. Super proud of you. Most important, you're a really, really good guy. I think you've done it the right way. You got younger sisters, you got your mom, you do a good job taking care of them. So keep on doing your thing. And we'll probably have you on once you're a couple years in and freaking
yeah,
crushing it. I do want to see you on social media though. So
yeah.
we'll talk off camera, but let's get together. Let's get you going. Let's start making some cat TikToks.
Nah. But nah, yeah, thank you for having me. Love you, Vlad. We
Any
got
any final words?
Nah, I feel like we need to like reverse. You need to be interviewed. Kinda.
I'll have my time. I'll go get on a couple of podcasts. But yeah, I think the biggest thing here is just talking to cool people that do different stuff. I think the first thing was like we had a big real estate guy on, and now we have an NFL player on. You're, like I said, super proud of you, and make sure you guys subscribe.
Oh, it's on
We're
YouTube?
This is on YouTube.
Yeah,
We're
subscribe.
Yeah.
Like the video. It's free.
We're on YouTube. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. So episode 2 is going to be out. And thank you, Jonah, for being on.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. Love you, bro.
appreciate you.